He sat in church every Sunday. He coached Boy Scouts. He was a husband, a father, a neighbor who waved at you from across the street. But behind that smile was a monster so calculated, so cold, so terrifyingly ordinary, that for 30 years the entire world had no idea he existed.
30 years, folks. This man killed, taunted police, wrote letters, and then went home for dinner. I've seen a lot in my time, but this case, this one still haunts me. Stick around, because nothing about this story is what you expect.
Wichita, Kansas, 1974. A quiet American city, tree-lined streets, friendly neighbors, the kind of place where people never lock their doors. Nobody had any reason to be afraid. Not yet. Dennis Lynn Rader was born on March 9, 1945, in Pittsburgh, Kansas. To everyone around him, he was completely normal, maybe even boring. He went to school, got average grades, joined the Air Force, came back home, got married, had 2 kids, went to church every single Sunday. But inside Dennis Rader's mind, something had broken a long time ago.
You know what's scariest about BTK? It's not the kills, it's the smile, the handshake, the good morning neighbor. Evil doesn't always look like a monster, folks. Sometimes it looks exactly like the man next door. Remember that.
From a young age, Rader had developed what psychiatrists would later call dark fantasies. He was obsessed with control, with domination, with the idea of bind, torture, kill. 3 words he would later use to name himself. 3 words that would terrorize an entire city for 3 decades. January 15, 1974. It was a freezing cold morning in Wichita. The Otero family had just returned from Panama. Joseph Otero, his wife Julie, and their 5 children. They were still settling into their new home, still unpacking boxes, still dreaming of a new life in America. That morning, Joseph Otero sent his older children to school. Only he, Julie, and 2 younger children, 9-year-old Joey and 11-year-old Josephine, stayed home. Dennis Rader had been watching them for weeks. He cut the phone line first, then he knocked on the door.
The Otero family had no idea what was coming. 4 members of that family never saw another sunrise, and the man who took them from this world, he went to work the very next day, shook hands with co-workers, asked about their weekends. That is the face of BTK.
Joseph and Julie Otero were strangled. Young Joey was also killed. But Josephine, 11 years old, was taken to the basement. What happened there is too horrific to fully describe. Dennis Rader spent time at that scene. Then he walked out, got in his car, and drove away. The Otero family was found hours later by the older children returning from school. Wichita would never be the same again. Most killers hide. They run. They disappear into shadows. BTK did the opposite. BTK wanted to be known. In October 1974, 9 months after the Otero murders, a letter was found inside a book at the Wichita Public Library. It was written by the killer himself. He described the murders in chilling detail, details only the killer could know. And at the end of that letter, he gave himself a name: BTK. Bind, torture, kill.
He named himself, folks. He walked into a public library, bold as daylight, left a letter describing his own crimes, and gave himself a brand, like he was proud, like this was his legacy. In 23 years of true crime, I've never seen arrogance like this, and trust me, that arrogance, it's exactly what eventually brought him down.
The letter was sent to local news stations. Wichita erupted in panic. Police had no DNA technology, no digital surveillance, no way to trace the letter. BTK had chosen his moment perfectly. He killed again and again. Each time, he wrote letters, sent poems, created puzzles for police. He was playing a game and he was winning. Between 1974 and 1991, Dennis Rader killed 10 people. Each murder was carefully planned. Each victim was stalked for weeks, sometimes months. He called them his projects. Catherine Bright stabbed in 1974. Her brother Kevin survived a gunshot wound and was the only person to ever see BTK's face, but the description led nowhere. Shirley Vian strangled in 1977. Her children were locked in the bathroom while Rader committed the murder. They survived. Nancy Fox strangled in 1977. After this murder, Rader actually called 911 himself to report the crime, then hung up.
called 911. Let that sink in. He committed a murder, then picked up the phone, called the police, reported it himself, and hung up. This wasn't just a killer, folks. This was someone who wanted to watch the world burn and take credit for lighting the match.
Wichita was paralyzed. Women bought extra locks. Families slept with weapons nearby. The local newspaper created a special BTK hotline. Tips poured in by the thousands, all useless. And Dennis Rader? He attended every neighborhood watch meeting. He read every newspaper article about himself. He even complained to police once about a neighbor's dog while actively being the most wanted man in Wichita. Then silence. After 1991, BTK stopped. No more murders, no more letters, no more taunting. Wichita slowly began to breathe again. People wondered, had he died? Moved away? Been jailed for something else? The case went cold. Detectives retired. Files gathered dust. But Dennis Rader hadn't gone anywhere. He was right there, in Wichita, living his life. In 1990, he had become a compliance officer, someone who enforced local codes and ordinances. He had power over people. Small power, but power nonetheless.
He didn't stop because he got scared. He stopped because he got comfortable. He had a job, a routine, a life that satisfied him enough. But comfort is temporary, folks. And ego never sleeps.
2004, 30 years after his first murder, Dennis Rader woke up his ego. A book was being written about the BTK case. A TV special was being planned. And Rader, unable to stay silent, began sending letters again. He sent packages to news stations, cereal boxes with victim belongings inside, doll figures staged like crime scenes. He was back, and he was angrier than ever. Then he made the mistake that ended everything. In February 2005, Rader sent a floppy disk to a local TV station. On that disk, deleted files that police recovered using basic forensic software. The metadata on one document read, "Last saved by Dennis. Organization, Christ Lutheran Church."
A floppy disk. After 30 years of perfect crimes, 30 years of outsmarting an entire police department, he sent a floppy disk with his name on it from his church computer. I want you to remember this moment the next time you think someone is too smart to get caught. Pride is always the end.
On February 25, 2005, police pulled over Dennis Rader's car near his home. He was calm, cooperative. He probably thought it was routine. It wasn't. Dennis Rader was arrested for 10 counts of first-degree murder. When police searched his home, they found decades worth of evidence. He had kept trophies, drawings, journals documenting every crime in his own handwriting. He had kept everything because he was proud. In June 2005, Dennis Rader stood in court and did something almost no killer ever does. He described each murder himself in detail, calmly, like he was reading a grocery list. The judge sentenced him to 10 consecutive life sentences. He will die in prison.
Dennis Rader thought he was the smartest man in the room for 30 years. Maybe he was. But here's the thing about evil, folks. It always needs an audience. And the moment you need an audience, you've already lost. BTK bound, tortured, and killed 10 innocent people, and a floppy disk ended him. Justice is patient. Remember that.
Dennis Lynn Rader, husband, father, church president, Boy Scout leader, and one of the most calculated serial killers in American history. The BTK Killer terrorized Wichita for 30 years, not because he was supernatural, but because he was ordinary. Because he looked exactly like everyone else. That is the most terrifying truth of all. If you've made it this far, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, because next time we go even darker.